Welcome back to the vlog and welcome here to Wewak, Papua New Guinea. My name is Ryan. Taking you back to Kodiak, my home base this morning. It's just about 10 o'clock in the morning. Haven't done this flight, I don't think, with you guys yet. So let's go ahead and get started and get on our way up to 15,000 feet today. Igniter's on, fuel pump on, and low start. Once the NG is up over 14%, I can introduce my fuel here with the red lever. Watch my oil pressure to make sure that it's coming up. Then my eyes look up to the NG to make sure it's going over 35%. And then I look at my ITT, kind of see the trend of it and see what it's going to peak out at. Once it starts dropping off, I look back at the NG. Make sure that it's basically idling and not stuck down like 30-35%. Put my generator, push my prop forward, throw my alternator on, then my aux bus. 20 degrees of flaps. While the prop's coming in, we'll check our fuel to make sure that's both on. Our controls are all good, as well as my pedals. Make sure that I'm hitting my stop to stop. Our switches, we've got 860 pounds of fuel on board. We don't have any cargo on board. I just dropped off a bunch of people. Our flaps are set, indicated, and verified all at 20. Coming aboard, we'll get our trims going as we do our taxi. Orsby 126.7, November Tango Zulu taxi. Taxi light is on.
November Tango Zulu, Morsby.
November Tango Zulu taxi, Wewak, Kodiak, 1 POB.
November Tango Zulu, no reported traffic.
November Tango Zulu. All stations Wewak, Kodiak, November Tango Zulu. Taxiing the runway 10 for departure. Kodiak will be on climb 15,000. If we're not 50 knots by the next taxiway, oh wow, they've cleared all that out. That's crazy. All right, if we're not 50 knots by the next taxiway, then we'll go ahead and board on the runway. Reverse, heavy braking, cut off, pull off, and shut off if we are going off. We'll just go off probably under the grass because they're doing some work at the end of it and I don't want to have to fall into their hole. After takeoff, pitch for 85 knots, consider EPL, consider feather, otherwise cut off, pull off, and shut off. Emergencies, masters, and crack my door. Our igniter's on, our lights on, our harnesses are locked. High idle. Condition flaps 20, fuel and harnesses, 30 degrees, so 1540 for 1590 here at sea level. Work is set, airspeed's alive, there's 50 and continuing. There's rotate. I'm just curious to see how many people are here in Wewak. I heard yesterday that there was well over 100,000 people here for the funeral. I'm going to do a big old 360 over top of the town just to take a look myself because I am kind of curious. That's right, 85 and up and climbing. We'll go 10 degrees of flaps. We'll go 0, bring our prop on back to 2,000 RPM as well. And also bring our torque back just because we don't need to have it screaming. Oh, it sure is a really beautiful day here in Wewak today, that's for sure. Oh, not too many people out today, that's for sure. Man, have they ever cleaned this place up? It's crazy how much work they've done in preparation for the funeral. Just cleared out so much brush and everything. Yeah, there's crazy. You wonder where all these people are. And yeah, I don't really see anybody here, so that's crazy. Oh, climb on up to 15,000 feet now and be on our way back to Kodiak. Orsby 6538, November Tango Zulu departure.
November Tango Zulu, Mosley, go ahead.
November Tango Zulu, no contact, 126.7, departed WEWAC on the hour, tracking 140, on climb 15,000, estimating overhead, Mayui time 33.
Tango Zulu, no reported traffic, QNH 1009 over Mayui, request a check 120.1.
120.1 Mayui, 1009 November Tango Zulu. If you guys are interested in getting some sunglasses that look just like this with my logo on it, I've got them on my website. They should be back in stock by the time this video comes out. They've just taken way longer to get back in stock than I was hoping for, so I apologize for that. But yeah, they've got glass lenses, metal frames, non-polarized, so I have non-polarized just so I can see all my screens without having to move my head and stuff. They're also designed so that you can wear regular over-the-head headsets a little bit easier. I don't wear those just because I don't really like them and they're just way hotter, but these are designed so that they're not going to press on your ears weird and stuff. So anyways, I should have them back on my site if you're interested. So our landing light off, our engine inlet back to normal, and our igniters turned off. And if you're not familiar where we are, we're here in Papua New Guinea. It is directly above Australia. And we're up here in WEWAC and heading all the way down to Goroka. So we're heading all the way just straight down in here. And then in Mayui, about right there, we will go ahead and call up Moresby again, just let them know where we are as a positioning report. We are climbing all the way up to 15,000 feet today just because I'm going back by myself empty. So just to save on fuel, the higher we go, if you're not familiar, the higher you go in an airplane, the air is thinner and we save on fuel, which means we save on money. This is not a pressurized airplane, so I'll have to wear oxygen. Once we are basically, anytime we're over 10,000 feet here in Papua New Guinea for more than 30 minutes as a pilot, you'll have to wear oxygen. So we'll throw that on once we're going through those altitudes. But if you're not familiar, I have this link down below called Reply Bank, and if you're not familiar with what that is, it's a way that you guys can ask me direct questions, send me a video, or you can just type it up and send it to me, and then I'll send you a personalized video back to answer your question, usually within a day, maximum 2 days, depending on how my busy schedule is and whatnot. But anyways, one of the questions I've had on it a couple of times is, and I'd love to hear your story on why you became a pilot. Have you been wanting to be a pilot since you were a kid? So I thought I'd just take this minute just to go into a tiny bit of brief history because I don't really share a lot of that kind of stuff here on the channel. But this is kind of a long, boring flight back to Goroka. But yeah, I am similar to a lot of people like that are pilots is, man, probably from like first grade, aviation had a huge interest in my life. I remember playing with big box fans. I had my multi-engine, you know, flipping them on with my younger brother and had a great time doing that. And I actually lived here in Papua New Guinea for 4 years when I was a kid. Elementary age, first, second, fourth, and fifth grade, or yeah, first, second, fourth, and fifth grade. We lived here in Papua New Guinea, back near Goroka. And I had a chance to go on a couple of flights out to Gimi and then also out here to Hayfield, which both of them, I think Hayfield's back open, but Gimi's still all overgrown and just overgrown, it's closed. But I do remember those flights. They were pretty exciting. Even from that age, I was thinking, you know what, I think I want to be a pilot when I grow up. Maybe not necessarily a missionary pilot, but just a pilot in general. And it really wasn't until like my high school years that I was thinking, you know what, I actually do want to be a part of missions. I want to have a bigger purpose in my life than just flying, personally. So that's the route I took. I started pursuing aviation right out of high school. I got my private pilot certificate when I was 19. Flew for a few years, and then I ended up taking like 5 or 6 years off. I just said, yeah, this really isn't for me. It was boring, you know, without a purpose behind it, and you're just flying from point A to point B. It was just kind of like, yeah, there's really no purpose, and I was just spending a ton of money on flying, and I felt at the time, and that was back when it was like 45 bucks an hour or something, with a club I was with. Which is dirt cheap. You can't ever find it even that. Not even on your own airplane these days. But anyways, yeah. It wasn't until I went through all of my missionary training, went through college and stuff, that I realized that I feel like my gifts and abilities are better suited in something like aviation rather than working out in the bush. with the people of Papua New Guinea, learning their language and stuff. So that's why I went back into aviation after not flying for 5 or 6 years. And at that time I only had 90 hours, so I really had like solidified flying at that time, and I had to relearn a lot of stuff. So it was a huge learning curve to go back and relearn all that stuff. But I am so glad that I did, because I really, really do love what I do. And then they say when you love what you do, you really don't work another day of life. It is work, but I really do enjoy it though. I don't like dread coming to work. So I'm very thankful that I can have something that I do, that I get a sense of purpose for, helping people, and yeah, do something every day that I really enjoy, especially in a beautiful place like Papua New Guinea. This is just my oxygen, if you're wondering what this is. So you flip it on up here, you plug it in up here, you flip on the oxygen down here. I'm just about out of oxygen, I only got probably 300 pounds left. I think they're filling it up later this afternoon. Then I have a regulator here, and I just turn it up or down. The little ball goes up and down to the altitude that I'm going to. And typically I just flip it up just a tiny bit higher than normal, because I know myself, I don't breathe very deep, and so get as much oxygen as I can. And then as we do get higher, I have a pulse oximeter, because we were flying by ourselves, we don't know if we're hypoxic. So you just stick it on your finger, turn it on, and it's going to tell you your blood oxygen level, and also your heart rate, your pulse rate and stuff. So anyways, if you are a single pilot, you're flying over 10,000 feet by yourself for long periods of time, I do recommend getting one of these. They have one on Amazon. I've got a link to one. It's just an affiliate link on my own website, if you guys want to check that out as well. They're super handy, super useful, and yeah, could potentially save your life if you do go hypoxic and you don't know it. If you don't know what that means, just Google it. As you can see, we're at 15,000 feet now. We have been for a while. And you can see my ITT is right at 701. We want that as close as we can get, right at 700. It's kind of just bouncing around between 700 and 701. Our prop is right at 2,000 RPM. And if you look down here, our fuel flow is at 270. So that's what I was talking about earlier, is how we can save some fuel. Typically, if I were to fly this back at 11,000, 11,000 feet, I'd probably be around the 300 mark, 300 to 305. So essentially I'm saving anywhere from 30 to 35 pounds of fuel per hour, which after, this is an hour and 15 minute flight, granted we wouldn't be up here the whole time, but it does add up over time and over the whole year as well. Pretty crazy just though how much more clouds are here. I mean, it's only 10:30 in the morning. So with them already, I mean, built up to probably 8,000 or 9,000 feet probably, I'm guessing. And with some even bigger buildups here, it's going to be a really crappy day here in the Sea Big later on this afternoon. All this stuff is going to really, really build up, and it's a big storms more than likely. So it's nice that I'm able to get all my flying done back before even noon, even though this is my only flight for the day. This is probably a good time to go ahead and just set up my descent profile and the GPS. I hit my flight plan button, come on down here to Goroka, and put in basically what I do is I put it turning my final, so 5,600 feet turning final. And because I'm out by myself, what we can do is just put in like 1,200 feet per minute today. Then if you zoom way out, way up here it has the top of descent mark. When I get there, Betty will say top of descent, and then I'll start my descent, and then it'll all work out. If I turn in 1,200 to 1,300 feet per minute on my autopilot, it'll bring me right down to that desired altitude. Before I go into any clouds, IMC, especially if it is, the outside temperature is pretty cold, we have my pitot heats already turned on. I've had them on the whole time. Basically, when it gets down to 5 degrees Celsius, it will give you a chime to remind you to throw on your pitot heats. And what would happen is if you did have icing over top of your pitot heats, you basically essentially lose your airspeed, which would be pretty important.
No, Tango Zulu, more speed, Kodiak Q1, 1019.
1019, thank you, November, Tango Zulu. Looking on the radar now, all that other stuff, kind of little precip and stuff was more on the direct track. Now going up to Barama, it should be just like a perfectly clear. I mean, we'll have some clouds and stuff that we'll go through, but there is no precip until we start heading into kind of the Goroka Valley. Once we get over the mountain range, the North Gap and stuff, Then we might potentially have some rain in that area, but we'll see once we get a little bit closer. It might just be picking up the mountain itself right there. Once I get to Brahman, I'm going to go ahead and drop on down to 14,000. Well, I can start my descent at Brahman, but I'm only going to go down to 14,000 if I'm not visual passing over top of the mountains going into the Goroka Valley, just because my minimum safe is 13.9. Once I get over that, basically once I get over Goroka, or unless I start seeing some holes, but more than, I mean, 99% chance that it's going to be beautiful once I get into the Goroka Valley. It's just sometimes getting in there is a little bit harder. It is pretty odd that it's built up even this high this early in the morning. That's for sure. All right, now we are coming out. Let's see if there's any direct holes. That's where I want to go, is right there. But I don't see the actual ridges along the mountain. If I did, then I'd probably just dive bomb down. But I'm not seeing them. So we'll just stay at our 15,000 until we get to Brahman. We'll drop down to 14. We'll punch through these clouds, and then we'll just, it should, like right after that, it will just clear up over the Goroka Valley. Almost 100% sure. And then we'll just do a really quick descent down in there. Still don't see the ridges down low. So yeah, we will just stay up at 14,000 to go on, punch through these, and then it looks like it's going to be beautiful on the other side. Just looking up, there's not a lot of bigger buildups. And usually in the Goroka Valley, because it's a valley, all the clouds build up on the mountains first, build up enough rain, and then eventually work their way into the valley. But I mean, that's usually in the afternoon.
Vertical track. Vertical track.
All right, at this time we're just going to go down to 14,000. You can go ahead and start that descent though. And because it's clearing up right here, we'll just cut the corner, put it back into heading mode, cut my corner until we reconnect to our next one, and that might just save us a tiny bit of time. Or just at 14,000, we'll remain here until we reconnect with that line, or of course, right over to top of Goroka. And like I said, probably the next 5 or 6 miles we'll break out of all this. We're just reconnecting into our course again, and we are 13 miles, so let's call up tower. Goroka Tower, November Tango Zulu, currently 12 miles to the north, non-standard 14,000 over top of the Goroka Gap at this time. Your circuit, time 10, copy, Mike Charlie Kilo.
Tango Zulu, copy 35, right? And wind calm, QNH 1018, you'll be number 2 in sequence.
1018 will be number 2, November Tango Zulu.
Charlie Kilo, number 1.
Mike Charlie Kilo, copy.
Mike Charlie Kilo is that little ghost coming in right there. He's about 3,000 feet below me. 10 miles out, we'll throw our landing light on. We can even put our engine inlet to bypass. We should be breaking out here super shortly. We're just going over top of basically the very, very top of the mountains right this minute. About 8 knots of wind coming off this side, so we'll probably have some updrafts as we hit this right at the ridge, and as we cross over, we'll probably start getting some bumps. Looks like a little bit of rain right up here as well, but at 11 in the morning, it shouldn't be that bad. It looks like we're just right at the top of it, so I'm starting to see into the valley, it looks like. Yeah, there it is. Let's go on down before we go into another cloud layer. Push my prop forward. Oh yeah, there we are. Right down there is the Goroka airstrip.
Kilo, left downwind.
Charlie Kilo is entering left down. We've got him in sight now.
Mike Charlie Kilo.
Start up our checklist, selectors and brakes. Our TAWS is good. Our VREF, because we're empty, we'd be coming in at 62 knots. Lights and inlet we've already done. If we do need to go around, power up, 20 degrees of flaps, pitch for 73 knots, maneuvers required, and reset our ITT to 740. Just slowly bring our torque on down. I don't want to just drop it all the way down and then shock cool the engine. Go ahead and turn off my oxygen. If you guys want to pick up one of these checklists for yourself, I've got them for piston engines as well as turbine aircraft on my website. At least they should be on there by now, by the time this video comes out, or if you're watching it at a later time. Really super helpful as a single pilot ops. Covers all of your main critical items for takeoff and landing, and they're just Velcroed onto the dash, so they're not connected to anything. You can use them in any aircraft you use. Let's go ahead and start our base, and he's just about over the numbers now, so by the time we get there we should be all right. I'm going to turn final at 5,600. 10 degrees of flaps. Once he lands, then I'll call for my base. Crook Tower, November Tango Zulu, left base, 35 right. November Tango Zulu. I'll do 20 degrees of flaps. Then push a lot of pressure on the yoke. When you get these flaps in, it's really going to just jump the nose up, so.
Right, Charlie Kilo, expedite, cross 35 right.
Expediting, Mike Charlie Kilo.
Want to try this same flight out, I'll leave the link on down below for my Patreon page where you guys can check out this exact same sim flight or many other ones here in Papua New Guinea. If you are a flight simmer and you want to experience PNG, yeah, this is probably the best way you can do it.
Tango Zulu, dash 8, crossing 35 right now, behind the dash 8, runway 35 right, sit there.
Go ahead, 35 right, November Tango Zulu. And turning final.
Alpha.
All right, just verifying all my toggle switches are down, so I am cleared to land as far as getting all my items done. Watch out, Hawk. As I'm coming in, I'm just pitching for my airspeed, power for my altitude. So if I'm sinking, I'm going to add power. We have lots of thermals in this area. See what I mean? All right, continuing. Well, there you go. That's Wewak to Goroka. About an hour and 15-minute flight.
Cross 17 left, Alpha Tango Alpha.
Hope you guys did enjoy that. I always did. Beautiful day out here in Goroka yet again, as always. If you did enjoy that, thought it was enjoyable to watch, consider subscribing. I put out videos a couple times a week. And give this video a thumbs up. Sure does help my channel grow. I sure do appreciate the support. And leave a comment down below of what you thought. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.
Just confirm we're clear to line up 17 right.
We're shut down. We'll get our fuel, remaining fuel, and everything off. Also turn our fuel off all the way.
Runway 17 right, make the left exit, take off.
See you guys next time.